Hello guys, you're welcome back to the channel of this Excel training that we are building from scratch. Purpose of which is to understand how payroll is, the Nigerian payroll as well as the payee in particular, and some other taxes that we will try to accomplish at the end of the day. So if you have not been following from the beginning, I would suggest that you go back some few videos. Otherwise, if you have some basic Excel experience, yes, we can continue from here, because today we will be talking more of referencing in formulas. So there are two ways to it. We'll take a good look at formulas again and then more on reference, because if you want to be very good with Excel, you need to understand the concept of reference. We have been working with it for some few times, but we need to take it to the next level from this place henceforth. So let's get on to this to today's tutorial. So what we want to achieve now is work on this salary scale to include the percentages in this place, such that we don't need to enter it. From the last lesson, we were entering this the percentages we want on the salary. For the basic, we entered it in this place. So in cases where we don't want that, we don't want to do anything here, we just want to point to the salary scale for both the amount and the percentages to use. So we will do that on this salary scale. So like we know, we have the basic salary as one of the components, and I think there is transport, housing, meal and medical. So we have transport, housing, meal, medical. So, and they have their own percentages. So I want to put a heading here, which is supposed to be the serial number, salary component, and then the percentage. You can put in bracket percentage like so. Yeah, this one is not the same as this. So like normally we used to do, you can copy the format on this place and paste it here, or you can change by hand however you feel like doing it, like so. So here we can have 1, 2. I'll click and drag, or click. If you are still confused how this is done, please watch some few videos back on little autofill that we did right there. So we should have a format, border around those places, so to give it so let's differentiate this place with a blue background and a white text color here. So we have something to look at. I need a space, I need some space between these two tables. It's too small, so I can right click and insert another row there, so it has shifted it down a little bit. So now there's something about percentage we need to understand. If you are going to be writing percentage, here it's going to be total here, so we can bold that place. Here we want to have the total of the percentage, so we know when we exceed 100, because we should not exceed 100. So here now we can write a formula to sum up all this, the values in all these places, and should not exceed 100. In fact, we can format it to show us a red color the moment it goes more than 100, but that is another lesson for another day. For now, let's just use the sum formula. Sum of this cell, you can highlight to this cell. As I highlight, you can see that it has written the cell number and the column, and then the last cell for us. Once you are through, you can close the bracket and that's it. So whatever enters into this place now, say we have 20 and 30, but right now it's not formatted in percent. We need that format to work in this place, such that you see the percentage we are entering in this place now, this 40%, we don't want to be entering it here now. We just want this cell to pick this particular cell now. For basic salary of Mr. Adewale John, we want it to pick both the percent and the salary amount from this place. So it's going to pick this percent and this amount. It's going to take 20% of this amount and just show that amount here. Instead of us writing the formula, we just want to pick, the values from another cell. So let's format this guys to be in percent. We can increase the font here 14, and then we just change the format here to percent. As you can see, we have that percent. Now there's one funny thing about this percentage of the thing. If you have your numbers before you convert to percent, as you can see already on the total here, it is adding 2 zeros to it by itself. But instead of that, a quick solution that I found to this to this problem is that we should first format ourselves to percentage first before putting those values. Like now, I don't have any value in not other cells. I'll just format them to percent, like so. Then I can now apply the number. As you can see, the percent is showing the moment I press or enter the figure, and I press enter. That is one way I discovered how to correct that error, because if you do that, it's going to add 2 zeros to it, because there's a way percentage is calculated in Excel. It multiplies by 100 to give you what you are looking for. But one way I found to counter that little problem is that you format the cells to percentage first, like so. Then you can now begin to enter data into it. So I have 40%, and I think the rest of those components are 15. So like so, and you can see our total is calculating itself. So we know when we exceed 100, so we still have 15, and then we have another 15, like so. So this is the table we want to use. This is our master file for the salary. So we want that. What we want is anybody in our employment of designation, manager, salesperson, or whatever what we need is to just look at the figures and the percentage of those salaries from this place, and then we use that and apply them in all these component pages. So let's delete all of this, in fact all of this. So now we need to write our formula making reference from this cell. We need to reference these cells for percentage and these cells for the gross amount. Let's use gross here. Gross salary, I think. So is that the purpose of breaking things down or having components like this is for tax purpose, or in some cases it is required by law, because as we progress in the nearest future, we want to calculate pension funds to make part of our deduction before tax is calculated and all that. If you don't understand, if you don't know that, so just keep calm. We will get to it. It's a gradual process. This is the building block of things. So we need to have percentages of these things. For instance, if you are calculating pension, if you want to calculate pension is calculated based on these three components: basic salary, transport, and housing. That's where you apply percentage of the sum of these three components to get the pension, 8% pension for the employee contribution towards pension. So if we do not break down this total salary like this, there's no way we will get the pension amount to deduct before tax is calculated. So this is a building block. You need to get your head into this, especially this video, because we're talking a lot about reference here, and subsequently we will also be talking about referencing. So it is important that you get the concept here. So I just explained why we need to break total salary into components like this. It is important for the purpose of our lecture, and so we will continue in that fashion. So this is the component we have here, and this is the gross salary. Obviously, at the end of the day, we're still breaking this gross salary into just these different components, and we want them to show here. Let's get into it. So how do we reference, for instance, basic salary 40% of 120,000 for the manager position, Mr. Dewali John? Like usual, we'll write formula starting with equal to sign is equals to what. So here now we want to reference a cell in another sheet. Like I've said, we can reference a cell from anywhere it is. It could be in the same Excel workbook like this, or it could be in another workbook entirely, or on another folder on your system, or even on another system. All you need to know is just the path to that, to that location, and there's a way we write the path. So we need to know where we are going to here, because we are still working on the same sheet, on the same workbook, but on a different sheet. So the sheet we are going to now is sorry to use the word sheet, is salary scale sheet. Because we want to get the percentage of basic salary, it is on cell D17. If you have not been following along, you should know how to look at cell name. For now, we click on this column D, row 17. So we have cell D17. Let's go through the hard way first, because there's an easier way to do that instead of cramming or trying to know the name of sheets and cells. So the way you write this is that equals to, first we need the name of the sheet. If it had been on the same sheet, we just need to click or just type the name of that cell and that's it. But because we're going to another cell that's in a different location, we need to write first the name of that sheet by using single quote. You put the name of that cell, or that sheet rather, into quote like so. So we have salary scale, exactly the name of that, and then the cell name starting with exclamation mark, cell D17 I think. So you press enter and it has brought it here. See what we have now? It is picking exactly what is here, because if tomorrow we decide to change it to 35% like so, if you go and check, we already have 35. So that's how this works. But this formula is not complete yet. We only got the percentage. Now we don't need to be typing percentage here again. All we need to do, if there's any need for us to change, because for instance, if you have like 10 managers and you need to change that percent, you need to change. See, let's just do a quick instance here. Let's add an invalid stuff here, because we insert another. Let's just use jumbo. We'll delete it back just to show us that it is a manager too. Okay, so we just need, because they're going to earn the same thing, the same percentage, and like so. So we write the same formula equals to salary scale like so, and then D17. It's also 35, as you can see. Now if you have as many as managers as possible on this payroll, like 10, before now, if we have to change the percentage, we go in one after the other. Now because we are making reference, we just need to change the percentage from this place to 40%, and every other places where we have this cell, where this cell is being referenced, everything will change. It's dynamic. As you can see, we are having 40% because they are saying the same thing, they are seeing the same thing, and they are getting the same data from the same cell. So a change in any of this cell will be dynamic. It will reflect in every other places that this particular cell is being referenced. Do you understand? So moving forward with our formula, let's delete this dummy record. As you can see, our formula is not complete yet because we just took the percentage. Now we need to complete the formula by saying times 40% of what? The manager's salary. Now I will escape this first and see the name and the, obviously we're still on the salary scale sheet, and then the cell now is cell D8. So that is where the figure lies, cell D8. So we go in there and continue our formula like so, times, again we put the name of the sheet in quote, salary scale, close it, and exclamation to tell you the name of the cell D8, like so. Now we have this is a little error here because of the is this percentage thing. It's the cell is being formatted into percentage automatically, but we don't need this in percentage. We don't need it. Is in accounting figure, so we need to set that into accounting figure, and then we have what we're supposed to get. Now that is a way of achieving that. As you can see, we make reference to this cell and this cell. So now if we decide to change the amount here, say our managers are not on 129 but 150,000, like so, you should expect that this will change because it is now 40% of 150,000. We don't need to do anything here. In the nearest future, we are going to lock these cells so that anybody do not have access to type inside it or in order to make any change. So the places we need to do is just, hey manager or CEO, we need to pay salaries. What is there any change? If there's any change, it will go in and affect these changes by himself and the percentages and what have you. If there's need to increase or to add more to salary components, it does that. Everything will be done here, and the effect will just pop up in this place, and everything else calculates themselves. So let us continue now. Now we'll go a little easier way than this, where we type the name of the cell, because we can actually point using our mouse to those cells that we want. So here now we need to say equal to. Now instead of typing the salary scale, if you click on this sheet that you want, Excel will type in the name by itself for you. So looking at it now, I selected this sheet. If you look at the formula bar now, it has written out the name of the cell, the sheet for us. So now we just need to point or pick to complete this. So it has selected that. The same thing we wrote, but now we're just pointing to it instead of typing it out. So we need to show that first step so that we understand the concept of how it works. So now that we have done the first part, times, since we are still inside the same sheet, we just need to get the other cell. The other cell is still writing it out for us, and in the same manner and approach. So if you press enter now, it has gone there for you. And unlike the previous one where it put the percent and everything, Excel is so intelligent, it has determined that we're trying to use the number format, accounting format, and it has applied to this transport page for us. So the same thing we achieved here, going through typing the name ourselves, you can also easily achieve by just pointing. And the same way you can point to cells. Say we have 2000 here as a value, and we need that value in this cell. We can just say equals to and then pick the cell, point to the cell, and press enter. So if we change this space later on, this will keep changing. It's dynamic. It's a dynamic something. So we'll go through the rest of this, and then we'll so equal to housing component, salary scale, housing times the manager salary. Don't forget we are still working with the manager, like so, and equals to salary scale, meal, 15% of manager salary, like so. Then medical equals to medical times 150%, and so you have this. Yeah, so please, when you make changes, this amount of change, you need to save up here. Make it an habit actually to always save your work whenever you make any change at all, so that you have something to fall back to should your system try to misbehave in the nearest in the unforeseen future. So make saving your work an habit. Make it an habit. The systems are very funny. They can go blank or blind or not responsive at any point in time without warning. So if you are able to restart the system, you have something to fall back to. Now, moving on with this work, somebody might say, oh, what is the essence of this? The essence is that if we decide to change this one to 20 and make medical 10, this is all the change we need to do, and everything here will adjust themselves. Before now it used to be 22,592, but you can see with that change we made on medical to be 10% now, and then on transport to be 20%, and then we still have the total here to match up the manager's salary. So we'll go ahead and do for the rest of these guys. It is easier now until you have 2 salesperson or 3 managers or 4 drivers and so on and so forth. Then one will really appreciate the essence of this referencing of the thing, and then we can even go deeper into locking reference, because in case we have 5 managers or 7 drivers and things, we cannot begin to type this even to picking things like that. So there's even an easier way or method to replicate the same formula by locking cells. Would soon get to that, so let's not get ahead ourselves yet. So let's go ahead to do for salesperson here. We need to pick transport, basic, still 40%, times the salesperson's salary, like so. So let's go ahead with other IT manager for basic times IT manager 100,000, like so. This store manager, go ahead and say transport basic store manager, like so, is equal to 40% times driver, and equal to times front desk. So I'm going to pause the video now and complete the rest of these guys, so it doesn't have to be too long, and then I'll come back when that is complete. So okay guys, welcome back. I'm about to do the last one so we can do it together. I've just filled these places, this component. So the last one is what I want to do, and then I'll just achieve that together. So we are on the medical percentage of the salesperson, so equals to the medical percentage here of that is multiplied by the amount of for salesperson, like so. So the medical of IT manager is equals to the medical of the IT manager, sorry, goes like so. Press enter when you're done. Medical of the store manager is equals to medical of the store manager salary, like so, is equal to medical of the driver is equals to medical of times the driver, press enter, equals to medical of front desk, not Mary or money front desk, because there's no Mary or money here. Anybody could be the salary, so it could be anybody. I don't care about the name here. So the medical of the front desk, whoever that is, that's what you're heading. And we have completed that aspect of things. So these are our components. As you can see, we don't have anything figure here. If you look at the formula bar here, what we have is reference, and then because we have an assignment here or mathematical expression, it's calculating and showing the results or displaying it for us to see. So guys, that is that about that. There's a lot more about reference. We'll get into that. It's even still in this video series, so we'd like to show us that one. For now, we have completed this task, so let's save and let's see what happens. Things that could go wrong when you make reference to cells. Should they become unavailable, then you're gonna have a big problem. So you want to make sure that when you make reference to a cell, that cell is always available, because these things, they are picking their figures, their calculations, their data from that cell you make your reference. So if that for one reason or the other is not available, we are going to have problems. Say for instance, some kids just came in, or one angry staff just comes into your system and says, "My shift friend, just go ahead and just delete this table for you," like so. You see what will happen to your cell. Except you recover that table, you're really finished actually, because that table is where these things picks their figures from. As you can see, there's a ref there. That means a reference problem. You cannot see the first reference. There's a salary scale which is seen. Obviously we didn't delete that, or your child did not delete that, but the cell number is gone. That particular figure is no longer available. The sheet is still there, but the cell is not. It's gone. So you're going to have problem. That's one problem. Say here now the source is not available anymore, and then you have this ref problem. So the only way actually that I know is to restore back that table, because for the purpose of our own lesson, I can only undo that menace that happened. Now if you see, now if you go back to it, we have everything back in place, because the reference is now available. Another error that you can have is if somebody comes in here and mess up with your figures and turn this onto something not calculatable. If you go back to it, you have value problem, because the value now is not what Excel is expecting. It's expecting some kind of numbers, figures or something for it to work with. You cannot multiply AS by 150, it doesn't make any sense, or AS by 100, it doesn't make any sense. So you have, for instance, on the meal component of your salary, you are gonna have problem with that. Look, on the meal, so the value is not calculatable again, and then it give you this value error. Let's change the background so we can see things clearly. Let's not use only few. So you can have value error. So there are the two major errors that you can have: reference and value. If you insert things that is not multiply or not mathematically usable, because you're dealing with math here, because Excel cannot calculate that value, there's no way to convert or something, it will give you this value error. and the rest of the places where this cell is being used will also have that same error. As you can see, there's no error here because, well, this is still 10%. There's no problem with this figure. But here that we are going to calculate the total of all of these components, and the bad value is there, so it's not going to be able to calculate, and you have problem here. This union due, we say, is 5% of K7, this total, because total is also having problem, union due is also going to have problem. And the net, which is subtraction of union due from total, both union due and total are having problems, so therefore net will also have problem. That is where, or that is how the problems keeps repeating itself. Anywhere you make reference to a cell and it's being used in another place, you have problems like that. But usually one single correction would solve all our problems. Well, the problem starts from here. That's the beginning of the cell, that's the beginning of the problem. And now if you solve that problem, your life is back to normal, as you can see, and everything else is back to normal, guys. So I think we have achieved something tangible today. I would suggest you go over this video maybe like 2 more times to really get or understand the concept of this referencing of the thing, but because there's still more to it. If you do not really understand that part very well now, the next couple of videos you might not really like, because just going deep into referencing, and it is very essential that you understand this concept first. Thank you very much for staying tuned to this time, and just go ahead and subscribe now, and then click the notification button so you get to be notified when the next episode or the next series is available, and then you can follow along. Thank you guys, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.